Now, it's been a long time coming, but today is the day I get to see what that wheel is going to look like in gold. And I have a little bit of a different approach to it. I'll describe what I'm going to try to do. Not sure if that's exactly what I want to do, but it's a good time to do it, to do my little experiment today, and I'll cover that later. But we have waited patiently for the day that I will have these two gold wheels, and today's the day, I hope. The weatherman said 0 chance of rain. It rained last night, so we're going to wait a little while until everything dries up out there. And it's going to be above freezing. This should be a perfect day for painting. I'm so looking forward to this day of painting. Unbelievable. Anyway, we have had just the greatest of adventures with every one of these motorcycles. Everyone is different. Everyone's a little unique. And we learn something from everyone, and hopefully we can pass some of what we learn on to you. And when I did the wheels to the FCR, this was, I thought, the biggest labor of love on a set of wheels you could have. These wheels are hand buffed, and at the time I did them, I spent quite a bit of time. I was wondering if it would be worth it. But every time I come out to this garage, I take my hand and rub it on that hand buff surface. It's worth it. It's worth it to me, and to me, that's what matters. Maybe it's worth it to you too. And I'm really looking forward to that day when I can come out to the garage, flip battery chargers, and put the wheels back on the bike and say, wow. And I hope I say wow and not, oh my God, what was I thinking? To me, the wheels are so important on having a unique or a custom motorcycle or a restored bike that you want just to be a little unique, a little bit different than everybody else's. The wheels are probably the biggest single part beside the paint. And if you have a nice custom paint job and a custom set of wheels, you can have the whole thing for just a few $100s and a labor of love. And that's the information we try to share more than anything else. How to paint a motorcycle, how to come up with some little custom touches and ideas, how to do it all yourself, and how to do it on a pretty reasonable budget. And I think we've done that. And all that would be fine, but then there's one final thing. To learn something, figure something out, and then be able to share it with your friends. Now, I wanted to make a point. One of the things that I alluded to this in the beginning of the video, one of the things I did with the GS wheels is I took the pigment, and when I put the first coat of clear on, I put just a few drops of pigment in so that what happens is you have the gold color, and then the first coat of clear has a couple little speckles in it. And I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to see how that looks on one side of the wheel when I paint today. And if I like it, obviously, I'll just have to redo the front wheel too. And if I don't like it, I just spray over it with some more clear. And that's a relatively common thing in custom painting to do that. It's not unique. It's just something I haven't done in a while. And I haven't done it with this gold pigment that we have. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that might work. And the pond is relatively clean. Anytime it rains, I always have to look and see if the pond is clean. And of course, the first thing of the day, a cup of coffee. Now, I got up really early this morning because I checked the weather, and it is supposed to be a paintable, very nice day. Actually, it's a day, if I wasn't doing these gold wheels, I'd consider going for a ride. But the wheels are what I'm dreaming about right now. Time to prepare for production. Prepare for Goldfinger. This is pretty funny. Last time Turbo Steve was here, we were playing Monopoly with Miles. Now, this is pretty funny. If you notice this is Miles' side of the table. Look, he owns half of the world, including Motorcycle Mall. And look at what I own. Nothing.
Grammy's bankrupt.
And Grammy's bankrupt. She's already, this is her side of the table. She's already out of the game, but we play it every day. And Miles is the king. Now, this is just for the people that might be watching the first Windy video and haven't seen this. What we did is we mixed our own gold paint with clear binder, which basically is paint without pigment. It's clear. And you can see it's a powder. Now, pigment can come in liquid, it can come in paste, and it can come in powder, 3 different forms. Here's the thing, when you use powder, it means there's flakes. There's basically little tiny baby metal flakes in there. And so what happens if you put more pressure in the gun? They flatten down. At less pressure, they tend to stand up. And you can vary it. It changes the whole look of the paint when you do that. You also have other choices. Now the first thing we did on the wheel is I just put on the normal amount of gold paint, turned it gold, and put the clear on. But we have one choice that I didn't experiment with, and it's a simple thing, is when you put all the gold on, you can let that coat dry and then put the first coat of clear in with a couple of speckles of gold. And what it does, it makes it more of a sparkly look rather than a flat look. I don't know if I'm going to like it, but I'm going to do a little experiment today. And since we have the wheel already ready, the wheel is all set to go here. This is perfect. It doesn't look like I need any touch-ups, anything. I'm just waiting for it to warm up just a little bit out there. And I reorganized all the parts to try to make a priority list of what I want to do here in the next week or so, because we're going to be waiting for this paint to dry. Oh, I'm telling you, we're getting to the point in this project where every day it just gets more exciting than the day before. And it is, I call it the perp walk in the morning when I take the perp walk and look at, we're into this in about, we're coming up on the end of the 3rd month, in fact, pretty soon, another week or so. But every part of this has really exceeded my wildest little dreams. And what it means is when springtime comes, maybe a month, 2 months from now, we are going to have a very exciting assembly and final polish. And I think the focal point of the whole thing is going to be the gold wheels. So let me get started here. It's time to paint. Now I have looked it over from every angle very carefully, because right at this point, if I found the spot I wanted to fix, well, I would, that's for sure. It looks like we're ready to paint, and the weather is coming up. We're up to about 40 degrees out there already, so it should be a beautiful day to paint. So I thought I'd show what this paint looks like. There's the pigment at the bottom. And you have so much variation with this. You can make the color darker or lighter depending on how much you put on. As you put it on, it gets deeper and deeper and deeper. And by how much clear you put on. The more clear you put on, the deeper it gets. So we have a lot of variables. But here's the biggest one of all, is we got to keep shaking this all the while we're painting. You just can't leave this sit for an hour. All the pigment falls down to the bottom. So this is the whole trick to everything. I got to dedicate myself to about 5 minutes of just shake, 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 shake. And until the bottom of this jar is clear, I've got to just keep shaking it. And all the while every time I refill the gun, I've got to shake the whole jar thoroughly. And then of course strain the paint for any lumps. Now shaking the paint is so important on an ongoing basis. Now the whole idea is to get on light coats, not get on a big blocky coat. Always better to get on thin coats, multiple thin coats, and let each coat dry. The minute you try to cover in one coat, well, you always wind up with a mess. Now it may take a little longer on this to go over this primer, because this primer is a darker color than the one that we used on the other wheel, so it may take maybe one extra coat. I don't know. We'll find out. But the whole objective is thin coats, and let each coat dry. You know you're not going to cover in one coat. Now I've left the rim for the last because I want to get all the things from this angle and then spray from this angle. Get all the spokes from the top, turn it this way, and get all the spokes that way. And then make sure I have everything in the middle. It's a long process. This does not take an hour. This is going to take better part of the morning. I want each one of these coats to dry and tack out, and I want to make sure I've got every angle possible. Now the sun just came out. Notice I'm always keeping the wheels spinning. And now I've almost got the first coat. I want that to tack out a little bit. It's a good time to just take a break. I don't want to take the chance. Here comes the sun out again, and when the sun comes out you really get a little view of what that's going to look like. But the color deepens tremendously when you put the clear on. Now just for a frame of reference, that's the end of the first gun of paint, and that's I think a 4-ounce cup. So, and that would probably be the end of coat 1, but we're going to get 2 coats on. And then I'm going to put just a little bit of that sparkle in the first coat of clear. Ow, here comes the sun. Look, as I'm doing this, look at the sun. How that changes in the sun. And I expect that when we're riding the bike and it's a summer day, I'll park this right in the sun. Anyway, oh, that really looks nice. But the whole trick here, the whole thing to making this work the way I want, is light coats, several light coats, not one big drippy coat. And what that does, and I'm spraying with very low air pressure, it just lets the flakes just fall randomly, and the little pigment flakes just seem to, they just look a lot nicer. And then when you seal it in clear, oh my God, it looks unbelievable. And one of the things that's super important is just every time I load this gun, shake it till the bottom of the jar has no pigment on it. Now I'm happy the way this one side dried up. Basically I've got to repeat the whole thing on this side. And a lot of this is just the patience of not wanting to put it on in one coat, because any of these metallics with the pigment the way I do it, it's got to go on in thin coats or it doesn't have the same look. So what I did, I tried to put this side on fast forward, 10 times fast forward, so you wouldn't be bored to death. But you can see I'm spraying with very low pressure, probably under 20 pounds, and very light coats. And those light coats set the flakes at all different angles, little pigment angles. And now this is just going to have to spin its way before I take it inside and put it by a heating vent. I want to see if there's any spot, because the sun doesn't lie. When you're out in the sun, any little spot that doesn't look right now, it's not going to look any better. And you have to be very careful too, because what happens when the sun is out, you get shadows. And you look where the shadow is and you put more paint and all of a sudden the shadow moves. Anyway, that should give you some idea how much time. This was over an hour, by the way, in real time. Way over an hour, right? An hour, almost an hour and a half to get that. And I'm guessing that we're going to wait about 20 minutes to a half an hour and put a second coat on that. I'll bring it out, put a second coat, but I don't want to get it on all glocky and thick. I think I'm going to celebrate with a cup of coffee. That is just about as successful. We even had a little sunlight helping us out here. That really worked out well. That's time. While that's sitting under a heating vent for about an hour, I won't take any chances. I'll have a cup of coffee. There's what I've been waiting for. 2 gold wheels. Gold wheel 1, gold finger 2. I am so cold. It's really cold. It's colder than it looks on video out there. But that wheel, sitting under a heating vent now. I've got an hour to kill, basically an hour, and we'll be ready to put some clear on it. I've been outside for almost 2 hours now, so I'm really cold. Yeah, that's going to be great. There's a satisfaction you get when you have the spray part of it done out of clear. What I'm going to do is with the gun, the same gun I used to put the gold in, I'll take the gold out. I'll mix up a batch of clear, but it'll have just a few specks of gold in it. And I want that to kind of sit on top of the gold. And I don't know if I'm going to like this, because if I don't like it, I'll just paint it gold right away and do it again. But I won't know if I'm going to like it until it's done. And well, then what I have to do is come in and look at, do I like it better than that one? And so I was very careful in the very beginning of this job to mix enough paint in one batch so that I don't have one darker, one light. I eliminate one of the possibilities of that happening. So you don't know. You never know. But anyway, we had that little bit of sunlight while I was spraying, and I put that whole side of the wheel in fast forward so you could see how many times you go over it. You're basically spraying like out of an airbrush. So I wanted to show that. That's good, useful information, because a lot of people get frustrated when they go. Now Scott is painting his gas tank as we speak. The problem with the first time you paint is you put the paint on, you go, it's not covered, and you get panicky. Where if you just put it aside, go have a cup of coffee, put another coat on. Now we put that paint that's on there over the course of almost 2 hours. So each coat got to dry out just a little bit, and now this hour under the heating vent, I'll have Karen turn the heat up in the house. In an hour from now, that'll be ready for that first coat of clear, and then once that dries, that's about a 20-minute, half-hour thing, then we'll load up the big spray gun. See, and I would never put anything in a clear gun. The gun that has the final coat of clear never gets anything in it but clear. That's a gravity golden rule for that. So, and if our experiment doesn't, it may be that it's nothing, that you don't even see the difference, but I won't know until I do it. So, and that's what these things are all about. And if it works, doesn't work, I'll try to evaluate it. And it's like the Gavco Clear and the 5-star. I haven't seen any difference at all. They're both pretty much the same. Anyway, off to the coffee machine. When you're out there in that cold, there's just no substitute for a cup of coffee. Absolutely none. Well, it's just amazing after having some coffee, coming into the shop, and I got 2 of these puppies here. Wow, if you only knew how happy I am that this is working out really nice. I'm just thrilled about this whole thing here. This is unbelievable. Now, the thing I'm going to do, and of course it's an experiment, and I'm going to take the spray gun that I sprayed the gold with. I'm going to mix up a separate batch of clear with just a little bit of gold in it. Now, I don't know, and see if here's the thing. If I do it and I can't tell the difference, well then I didn't waste anything. It's just an experiment, and I know it didn't make any difference. But there's a chance, just a chance. Gold is a funny color. As you change the gun pressure, those flakes sit. It doesn't happen with a color like white or black. With liquid pigment, that just lays down. But with any pigment that's made out of little chips, now this gold pigment is made out of little gold, I call them metal flake. They're not, they're tiny, tiny flakes. And when those flakes all start to sit up, and I think that's going to be an upgrade. Now, if it isn't, didn't cost me a penny. And I love to learn. So what I have a separate jar. I'm going to mix up the clear for the wheel and just put just a little bit of gold in it. Just, you know, with maybe 1/10 of a teaspoon. You don't need much of this gold, by the way. And that'll be for the first coat. Then this will go away. I'll mix up another batch of clear for the final coat, and then use my dedicated clear gun that never has anything in it except clear. So I hope I've explained that, and maybe it won't work out at all. You never know. And this is the clear that we're using on this whole project. 7701, 7754, and just a little bit of gold. And the gun we sprayed the gold with, not the clear gun. I always have a dedicated clear gun. So this is what we're going to spray on first, and it has just the slightest amount of gold in it. I don't even know if you can see it. It just looks like dirty dirty clear, but it's urethane clear, and I just dropped in a few drops of pigment. I can always add a little more. It's a lot easier to add some than to go mix another batch with less. This is going to be a pretty fun experiment, and we're going to use the gun. Again, I'm repeating this because I know this is something I haven't shown on video yet, and yet back in the day, back in the day of acrylic lacquer, we used to do things like this all the time because you had to put so many coats of acrylic lacquer on when you were doing a pearl or one of these fancy paint jobs, that you almost had to do stuff like this. Now with the first side done, there is definitely more of a sparkle at this point anyway. More of a little sparkle in it. I'm really glad I tried this. Looks like it may work. May do exactly what I want it to do. It gives a little bit of a sparkle effect. Now I think you could overdo this. You could just get it too, and it wouldn't serve any purpose then, but I think that's going to be a nice little upgrade, and obviously if we like it, we'll do the other wheel. But we'll see when all the clear is on and it's dry. We'll put them side by side in the sun and see. An interesting day, learning a lot as we go. And boy, we've taken advantage of a really unusually nice painting day. It's cold, and that's in our advantage because the paint will dry slower. But what a nice day this was, as opposed to some of the days we've painted out here. See, I'm not sure you can even see this on the video, but the look is just a little bit different. You can see the pigments, I call them sparkles, but the individual flakes sit up. Now this might be I might want to do this to the front wheel. I don't know yet. We're going to find out. I still have to put the clear, that's totally clear on this, with the dedicated clear gun. But this is going to have to go downstairs, sit by the heating vent for about an hour, 45 minutes in this temperature, and then we'll come back out here. Well, with all the clear on here now, this is just wow. Now, I won't really know how this two clear step process is going to ultimately work out. The reason I don't know is this has to dry, and then what I have to do is put them side by side and see if I've bought anything, or if it's a tie or whatever. But this certainly did while it was out in the sun. It just looked a little bit nicer. But anyway, it looks pretty nice right now too. Anyway, we are really happy with this. I guess can't even tell you how happy I am the way this worked out. This has been a fantastic day. I had no idea when I woke up this morning how successful this would be. There is not a spot on the wheel here that I'm not happy with. Now usually I am pretty fussy, and there's something there, or a bug flies into it or anything, but I think we're just lucky. Just plain luck. Maybe you'll be lucky too. Basically all that's left to do, simple thing, is when this dries up, and I'm keeping it rotating probably for another hour or so till all that settles in, then I'm going to put it out in the garage overnight, and I couldn't be happier. There's not a lot of days that I'm real happy at the end of the day. This is one of them. Anyway, like we just, this really worked out to our favor. And of all the things, as I brought the wheel in, it started getting cloudy out there, and Karen said there's a chance of rain. They changed their forecast. But it was our lucky day. So I hope it's your lucky day too, and thanks for watching. So after a long hot day working in the shop, look at what I have for supper. Karen has really gone overboard. Indian chicken. Now she's really wanting me to go for cooking lessons, but I don't know. Not sure about those cooking lessons, Karen. She is a good cook though.